Hey, welcome back to the shop here at Hemmings. Today we're starting a brand new project on this 1972 Corvette that we just bought. Now this car's got to go on a 2,300 mile road trip in about a month, and we now know that it barely runs and it seems like the wheels are about to fall off. So we got a lot of work to do, a lot of things to check out. We're going to get into that right now, so stick around. So the backstory on this Corvette is it's being prepared to go on the Great Race. The Great Race is a time distance rally that's been going on since the 80s, and Hemmings has been the title sponsor for a long time. The Great Race is owned by the folks at Coker Tire, and they approached us at Hemmings and said, hey, why don't we build a car together? We've been doing the race for so long. They're also affiliated with Corvette Central and Zip Corvette Parts, so they wanted it to be a Corvette. To be eligible for the Great Race, the car's got to be a 74 or older, and then we thought, well, if it's going to be in that bracket, we'd kind of like it to be a chrome bumper car. That means 72 or older. So we found this 72. We needed it to be a nice looking car because we don't have time to do body work and paint. And we also were on a budget, so we knew we were going to get into a car that needed some work, and we have certainly done that, right, Junior? You've been looking this thing over. What have you found?
Well, as you know, getting it off the transport and even getting it fired was kind of a challenge. We got it off the transport. We tried to go for a little test ride and it just wouldn't stay running. The carburetor, which is a quadrajet, was completely full of dirt. And I'm guessing that's from the previous fuel tank because it does have a new fuel tank in it and nobody had messed with it. So I took the carb apart. I got it roughly cleaned out. I didn't do a rebuild or anything. We just need to go for a test ride. So it is running decent now. It's not idling well. I found that this is definitely over 100,000 miles on this car. It is suspension-wise worn out. It's completely worn out. I cannot get it timed, so I assume we have something stuck, seized, not working in the distributor. I also noticed that half of a row of fins is falling out of the radiator, so it needs a radiator. And typical with Corvettes of this era, the headlights and the wiper cover are vacuum actuated. They're not working, so we have to go through the vacuum system and figure that out. I also discovered that it has 2 new tires on front, and the tires in the rear are older than a lot of kids driving on the road nowadays. So,
yeah, it seems like this car is telling us a story, we think, where somebody had it and took care of it, and it was their fun car. And at some point in the early 2000s, it went in the garage and it never came out again. The brand new gas tank kind of indicates that the old one rusted out from sitting, and brand new brake calipers on it. That's another thing with Corvettes that kind of tells you the car sat and the old brake calipers rusted up. So lots of things for us to sort out here. Junior's got it kind of running now, so I think probably the first thing for us to do is go on a test drive. Big news on this car is that you could be its next owner. Corvette's going to be part of a giveaway going on all summer. You can read about all the details on hemmings.com/Corvette giveaway. The Coker Tire website will also have all the details on the giveaway. There's no purchase required to enter, but you do have to get your entries in by September 1st. All right. You got this thing running well enough that we can drive it now, right? So let's take a ride, see what other things crop up, and then we'll come back here and dig in.
Shakedown. Well, at least it idles now. It was not doing that before.
I'm hoping the gas gauge doesn't work.
I did check, there is some gas in there, but no, the gas gauge doesn't work. I have no idea if water temp works, oil pressure works. Looks like the amp gauge is kind of coming and going. Oh, that works. Turn signal works.
Well, this already seems significantly better than it ran before.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It was barely drivable before.
Well, it's not completely without power.
So the
Initial thought is front end's kind of a mess.
yeah, really sloppy.
Well, it's sloppy, but it feels tight. It feels like it's got bad ball joints. God, this is definitely two-hand driving. This is not a one-hander relax. Oh my God, this thing is just all over the place. Feels like the rear end is just like wallowing in behind.
Sliding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, feel that? Transmission seems to be doing exactly what it's supposed to do. I'm glad to hear that. Curious to see what the differential fluid looks like. Brakes feel fine. Oh, what the heck was that? That was a bushing or something in the rear kind of thumped over. Ooh. Oh, yeah. That's a little disconcerting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a most interesting clunk coming out of this.
Yeah.
There's seems to be no rhyme or reason to it. It just happens.
Yeah. It has that sort of bind and release popping feeling.
So I mean, if that's 34,999 original miles, this thing is clapped out for that kind of mileage.
During the test drive, we heard a lot of popping and banging, and we know stuff's worn out here, so we're just going to take a look around. Junior's going to give it the once over and see what we see. So I can tell you already see something.
Oh, yeah. Well, here, if you hold the light, the
Okay.
first thing I noticed is our trailing arm bushings are, I mean, I'm not a Corvette expert,
Yeah.
but I would think that's
Oh yeah.
not supposed to happen. So I think that might have been some of the squirrely action we were getting. And we definitely need U-joints in the half shafts, at least in the outers. They're both completely loose. I noticed that our leaf spring links have been changed recently, but the big problem here is the plastic slippers in between the leaves are just rotten and coming out.
falling
So
apart.
over time, that's all going to separate, and that will have an effect on ride quality and noise. And
Now these links here looked like, I know we initially kind of thought those had been replaced recently too. They still look like they may have been.
except they weren't painted on top.
Yeah.
They were only painted down
Somebody
below.
gave it the rattle can resto.
So, yeah, the bushing seemed to be good, but we're obviously at some point going to have this whole rear suspension apart.
Yeah.
So we'll check these when that's apart, make sure the bushings are good. Our exhaust is kind of cobbled together.
Yeah, somebody changed the mufflers without changing the whole exhaust, which I noticed on a lot of these cars. I guess the mufflers don't last as long as the pipes. But this one in particular, it looks like somebody ordered the mufflers for the off-road exhaust.
Off-road
option.
on a Corvette, yeah.
It's not off-road like you're used to. But there was an off-road exhaust option with that had 2 1/4 inch pipes. The standard exhaust had 2 inch, and it looks like somebody tried to make up the difference.
I have to say they did some fantastic filler welding in there. And I'm not being facetious because they really filled that in nicely. There must be a ½ pound of welding wire in there. And our pinion snubber, well, our pinion mount here has been replaced. That's got new rubber in it. It's good to see that the frame here is nice and solid. This boxed area right here can collect a lot of dirt. If you're looking at a Corvette, you definitely want to check these corners right here. And these are in fantastic shape, but we
Yeah.
should probably clean
There's
the
stuff
dirt
in
out
there.
of there. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And I noticed that somebody put on a aftermarket tensioner on the park and brake cable. I think you said it doesn't work all that well.
Yeah, you can feel that it's pulling everything, but it doesn't pull it enough.
Nothing happens.
Yeah. The brake shoes in the park and brake are dragging, but just barely.
Yeah.
And you said you think there's a nylon or something
Yeah,
missing
I
up there.
believe there's supposed to be a wheel, just a nylon wheel for the cable to ride on, but
Yep.
as you can see, it's going through a very sharp,
Yep.
almost 180-degree turn there, and it's dragging on that metal, so it's going to cause a lot of friction and not work so well. We have a little bit of a leak coming out of our transmission output seal, but we'll have that all apart, so we'll change that. Happy to see the transmission is not covered in fluid. And that seemed to work really well on the road trip.
Yeah.
So good news there. Looks like all of our fuel lines are nice and good. We do need to put a shim or two in the starter. That is definitely too tight and is contacting the
it sounds
flex
terrible.
plate really hard. It does look like we may have a crack in the manifold where this is going across country. We're just going to replace it. It looks like our steering ram is typically leaking.
Yeah, these are kind of weird. Corvette continued to use that power ram setup. It's sort of like what an early Mustang or Falcon would have. The other Chevys all had integral power steering, other GM cars too. For some reason they kept using this on the Corvettes. I think early 50s Chevys have this. And I think there's supposed to be a boot on that exposed ram. I'm not sure if I'm envisioning the one from a Mustang, but
Gotcha.
it doesn't seem like it should be
Well,
out there.
that shaft is exposed to road dirt, and
Yeah.
that's not going to do the seal any favors.
Nope.
Looks like our drain plug gasket needs to be replaced. Both our lower ball joints are
Yeah, the boots are trash.
garbage. There's no grease really in either of those, so we'll replace those. Front shocks don't look too awful bad.
I'm figuring with the mileage on the car and the stuff we're seeing that we're just going to rebuild the front end.
And if you wouldn't mind watching the tie rod ends here, I'll give the wheel a little.
Oh, yeah, the idler arm.
Oh, he says. Idler arm.
Yeah, that's pretty wasted. Interestingly, it's the inners that seem worn. Maybe the outers were changed at some point.
Gotcha.
But again, I guess we'll just change all that stuff.
Oh, and I bet you the brake soft lines, oh yeah, they're hard as a rock. Oh, and they're cracked. All the brakes on this have been changed. Calipers, rotors, pads. I wouldn't think they would do that without doing the wheel bearings, so maybe they weren't just set, but that one's, I mean, you can hear it.
Yeah, it's got brand new calipers with ancient soft hoses that he didn't replace, so
You know,
who knows?
didn't go the extra mile. We do know that the headlight vacuum system is not working, so we're going to have to dig into that, but that's very typical for these, especially if they've been sitting.
Radiators leaking.
Oh yeah, radiator is completely done. There was definitely an impact on the radiator and the fan blade, so something happened there.
Look at this, on one side, the spoiler's on the bracket, on the other side, it's
Oh, no, they didn't get the right bolt in there. But other than that, it's a very solid car.
This car is going to be part of a giveaway that's going to go on all summer. You can get all the details at hemmings.com/Corvette giveaway. There's no purchase required, but you do have to get your entries in by September 1st. So when you started this thing up, and every time we've started this since it came off the truck, it sounds terrible. That starter's grinding away. It sounds like it's not spaced out right.
Correct.
So we probably now is a good time to take a look at that.
Yeah, I just want to basically drop the inspection cover, and I just want to check the teeth on the, I keep wanting to say flywheel,
But it's a flex plate.
flex plate, thank you. And make sure none of those are bad, because if the flex plate's bad, then we're going to have to pull the transmission off to repair it. And this is our flex plate that the starter goes up against. Teeth are nice and square, which is good. And I'm just looking to see to make sure that none of these teeth got stripped off.
So when you're checking these teeth, I know you're looking for a bad tooth, but when somebody's got the starter set up wrong, the way this one obviously is, it can wreck those teeth.
Oh, absolutely.
Just gradually. Right?
Over time, yeah. Because if the starter gear is so much smaller, it will actually, if you have a bad tooth on the starter, or if the flex plate damages the starter, it's going to transfer that damage around.
Every time it comes around.
Well, you know, say it 10 times, then you lose teeth and it gets harder and harder to start. So I see a little bit of wear right there on one tooth. And that was probably an impact at one point in time. The tooth here is actually hitting in the bottom of the starter gear.
It's bottoming out.
It's bottoming out. That tells me that the starter's too tight.
So Junior's going to loosen the starter up. He's going to try to put a couple of shims in there. These are starter shims, and what they do is they just lower the starter away from the block just slightly, and when you do that, you're actually moving the two drive gears apart, or you're moving the drive gear apart from the flex plate, I should say. We're hoping that slipping a couple of shims in there moves that starter away a little bit and quiets down the engagement between those two gears.
Never seen one that has been too far away. They've always been too close. Yeah, and I don't know why. All right, let's drop it down and test the starter.
All right.
That did not sound good.
Yeah.
One more time.
Oh.
No, that didn't sound good. Going back up.
All right, so you just saw Junior put shims in the starter, and we thought we were going to get a nice little victory there with a healthy sounding crank sound. Didn't happen. That means there's something bigger wrong up here. So Junior's going to take the starter out completely, and we'll bring it over to the bench and take a look at it. All right, well, this starter has some issues and may not be the right one, as Junior just said. So we're going to look into that and figure out what we need to get. We'll order another starter, see what it looks like, figure out what this one should have.
Yep. So as you heard, our shim trick did not work. It actually made the starter worse. GM has, I don't know, 5, 6 different styles of starters. I just went and ordered a new one based on the application just to make sure somebody didn't fit something that didn't fit. And I also want to check and make sure that our reman starter wasn't bad out of the box. This is kind of a cheap, quick way to double check and make sure it's not the starter as opposed to the flex plate, because changing the flex plate is a lot more work. So just going to throw another one back in and see if that cures our issue. Here we go. So new starter's in, just going to hook up the battery, and I'm going to take one of our small cameras and set it under there so we can watch while it's cranking and see if potentially the flex plate is bent or something else weird is going on. So rather than sticking our heads under there and cranking it, we'll use a camera. All right, here we go. We got our camera hooked up. Let's give it a shot and see what happens. Oh, that sounded much better. Try it again. Oh, that's all it was. Just a bad remanufactured starter. I'm glad I tried that first rather than just assuming it was a flex plate. To me, it sounds like we're good to go.
All right, so we've got a much better idea of what we're looking at here and the things that are wrong with the Corvette and the stuff we need to get. The thing is, Junior and I are not going to be going on the Great Race. That means we're not going to be with the car, so we're not going to be there to keep it running. It's going to have to just keep running on its own for the entirety of that race. Some different people are going to be using the car over the course of the event, and we just want it to be as reliable as possible. So what that means is We're not looking to hot rod this thing or make a bunch of upgrades. We just want it to function the way it did back in 1972. So all the work we're going to do on this is to get it back to the way Chevrolet had it when it rolled off the assembly line. So I've got a big parts list to put together, a lot of stuff to order. Next time when you come back, we're going to dive in and start spinning the wrenches, so make sure you come back for episode 2 of our Corvette project.